Episode number 187 of the Wholesome Fertility Podcast. My guest today is Rachelle Robinett. Rachelle is a registered clinical herbalist, holistic health practitioner, and founder of Pharmakon Supernatural, a company dedicated to exploring the art of functional nature. Rachelle combines her knowledge of herbal and traditional medicine, health science, and lifestyle design into plant-based products and accessible self-care content for those seeking a connection between modern life and natural wellness. Welcome to the Wholesome Fertility Podcast. I'm Michelle, a fertility acupuncturist here to provide you with resources on how to create a wholesome approach to your fertility journey. So welcome to the podcast, Rachelle.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So I'd love it if you can introduce yourself, give us a bit about your background, and also your company.
Yeah. So I am Rachelle Robinett from Pharmakon Supernatural, which is at this point, I'm calling it a sort of ecosystem of companies. We have an apothecary shop where we sell herbal products from people that I, love and respect. We have our own product line. We do consultations in a sort of private practice. And then the majority of what Supernatural is about is education. So teaching people how to be healthier naturally. That's the gist. So it's plant-based, holistic well-being.
Awesome. And what got you into this?
Yeah, I've always been personally interested in it. I grew up in a home that was in homes. My parents were split. So homes that were very health aware. And it's something that, I'm thankful for the fact that it was part of my life from an early age. And, I never intended to make it my profession. It was just something that I did on the side and something I cared very deeply about and sort of the way that I lived. And I would say, long story short, it became clear that just, quote unquote, just the way that I live was something that so many people wanted help with themselves and wanted access to, that I realized, and they requested so many times over and over again that I share it, that it was actually important for me to do so. So then, I transitioned out of a career in fashion and advertising into the health and wellness space, teaching people basically how to be, healthier in a holistic way and in a natural way. So, personally, it's always been a priority for me. And then professionally, it's been probably 8 or 9 years now that I've been doing it full time with Supernatural. So
awesome. Well, we have parallels because I used to work in New York City doing architecture.
Oh,
So I was
beautiful.
in the design world as well, and eventually shifted just from my own healing experience. But yeah, I mean, once you are truly moved by it and you realize just the simplicity of knowing what to eat and
Yeah.
utilizing herbs. And I had a teacher when I was studying Ayurveda, she said something that will never leave me. And she talked about medicine, Western medicine, the difference really between pharmaceuticals and herbs. And she said with herbs, the DNA is intact. And the DNA of the herbs speak to the DNA, to your intelligence.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
take, even if it's from nature, when you make it into pharmaceuticals and you really take away the DNA and just take it down to the chemical, then it doesn't have that intelligence and it can cause more side effects. It won't connect with your own innate intelligence.
Yeah, you lose that for sure. And you lose the synergy that exists in plants. That, that word can sound a little woo-woo. But I something that sort of defines my approach to this. And there are so many approaches, right? And they're all respectable for different reasons and varieties of reasons. But mine's been fairly scientific, and I've always sort of dug down into what does that mean? What does that mean? How does that look? What's that mechanism of action? Like not necessarily prove it to me, but trying to get into the root cause of either the way we feel or the way the plants work. And something that's fascinating about herbalism is that a lot of the sort of mystery around, you know, their potential is a result of the fact that the way that we study things in Western science and, you know, in Western medicine, is specific to the point and reductive to the point of looking for one cause, right? Or one mechanism of action or one chemical, you know, to your point, one chemical that's the one that's doing the work. And in plants, they're almost always hundreds, you know, and they work better when we use the whole plant and we use a full spectrum extract. And that kind of confuses science sometimes because they're like, wait, which one chemical is responsible for this one change? And, you know, you look at plants like adaptogens, and there are many, many chemicals that are doing many, many things that will do different things to different people.
True.
And we know that, but that just from a scientific standpoint is, you know, it's hard to pin down. So,
it is.
anyway.
And but nature is, and it's ever moving and it's very unique. Like even though there are similarities, like for every person is so unique. Every person has their own internal climate and that responds differently with herbals and even food, you know, so it's everybody's so unique, but there's this inner intelligence that communicates with people as well. And so the way you guys work, there's education and you guys also sell herbals. How does one know like what herbals would be best suited for them?
Yeah. So a lot of my classes are geared toward that sort of question. So, you know, there are themes, usually hormone balance or gut health or, you know, doing a 4-week overhaul, if you will. And usually people have an idea of the system, like the body system that they're struggling with. Digestion is very clear. Hormone balance, something, you know, I'm sure you deal with here all the time. So going into a system can be really helpful. And that's kind of why I have it structured that way. But generally, my recommendation for people on where to start is to try to identify the cause or to get as close to the cause as possible, because usually we're thinking about the symptom, right? The symptoms are the things that make us feel a certain way. And it's very easy to say, what's the herb for my indigestion?
Right.
What's the herb for my headache? What's the herb for my lethargy, my brain fog, my sleep disruption, all those things. That's the most common question I get. It's the most common question I've gotten for this entire time, you know? But if we can back up a little bit in the chain of events and say, I think that this is causing my indigestion, my headache, my sleeplessness, my whatever I'm feeling, brain fog, then what's the herb for the cause is going to be much more productive. So trying to identify the cause will usually get you to, you know, kind of a body system, and then you can go and explore herbs for that body system. And what I would say is, you know, this is why education is so important in the space. There are countless product companies, right? And products. You can walk in any grocery store, health food store, drug store, supplement store, you name it, and get all of these products. But it's actually really hard to find great information about these things at this point. So that's sort of what I'm out here trying to do, is help people navigate the space better. But if you can get a little direction, you know, in terms of your body system and kind of where to start, the last piece of advice I would say for right now is to know that, you know, historically and globally, herbs are not used as singles. So they're not used as one herb at a time.
Yeah, Chinese medicine as well. It's like a symphony.
Oh, totally. I love your words so far. The climate, the internal climate and the symphony. I love that. I love those metaphors. So the reason that that's also helpful is if you're brand new to herbs and you use a blend for digestion instead of like taking a wild guess and maybe dandelion is the herb for you. If you use a blend, you have a much greater chance of efficacy because, you're working with 4 or 6, or in Chinese medicine, it'd be way more than that in a blend, herbs all at once that are designed for that whole system. So that's what I would say. Try to narrow it down to the cause, see if you can identify the body system, and then work with a blend and just stick with it for a bit. It's going to help something.
Yeah.
Chances are.
And I wanted to talk about like certain herbs specifically for fertility. I know that there's some like one size fits all, which sometimes makes me a little crazy because I'll see like a combination and then they'll just throw herbs in there, and not everybody does well with every herb. So let's talk about who certain herbs can help and like who should be careful or cautious taking, like Vitex, for example. That's a huge one.
Yeah. Yeah. So Vitex, chaste tree berry, it kind of gets all of those different names. So that one, I mean, I would say that that's probably the most common herb that I recommend for hormone balance. And it can be used in people who are young and dealing with hormonal acne. It can be used for people who are transitioning off of birth control. And then you end up using it in like near menopause or during menopause or in postmenopausal, depending on the symptoms that somebody has, of course. And again, it's used in different blends, but I would say that is an herb that you don't need to take for like general hormone balance, like this sort of maintenance or preventative care. In that case, I would recommend that someone use hepatics, which are herbs for your liver, so maybe it's dandelion root on a regular basis, but using chaste or Vitex, just kind of preventatively or long-term for like as a best practice isn't necessary. And that kind of, I guess the logic there is that all of these herbs are going to be affecting hormone levels in different ways. And some will be, increasing estrogen or increasing progesterone. Vitex is working on progesterone primarily. And some are balancing and some are lowering levels. So understanding what your hormone levels are before you go into an herb that's going to increase your progesterone levels or decrease your estrogen levels is very important. Chaste isn't one with a big warning label on it, but it has that action. And so if you already have that excess, then you don't want to be, using it unknowingly, I would say.
Yeah, and it's it also can mess up your menstrual cycle before it gets regulated. That's another thing that some people get alarmed by when they first take it. It might throw things off before it starts to balance it overall.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that one, I have to admit, I've seen pretty close to 100% like happiness with that herb. People usually come back and they're like, oh my God, I've never experienced this before. I didn't even know my cycle was coming. My PMS is so, greatly reduced, but it does take, at least 6 weeks, sometimes multiple cycles before it's working. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And herbs too, they tend to take a little longer for the body to acclimate to it.
Yeah. 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 I was just trying to think if there was anything else to say about chaste, or Vitex. Yeah. I don't know. There's always more than we have time
Yeah,
for.
for sure. And are there other herbals for fertility that you've seen or that have helped like hormone balance or menstrual cycle imbalances?
Yeah. So, I mean, my approach to fertility, as you would imagine, is very holistic. So, sometimes we're not working on hormone balance at all. Like that might not be the issue.
Right.
It may be an immune system issue or it may be a stress issue. I would say that in my practice, that actually, it's usually a sort of lifestyle imbalance that is maybe negatively affecting the climate, to go back to your metaphor. And that's impeding fertility, as opposed to a known hormone imbalance that's at play. And that, again, that's just in my practice. And I see, I don't see fertility specifically as the majority of my clients. It just happens to be a certain percentage. So for hormone balance, it could be something like Vitex and black cohosh. I mean, a classic blend. It doesn't work for everybody. It's for certain types of bodies, but a classic blend in herbalism for, I would say for, PMS symptoms, or hormones that are fluctuating so greatly that somebody's really uncomfortable on a regular basis. It could be migraines, it could be insomnia, it could be any of these things, and obviously affecting infertility. It would be Vitex, black cohosh, motherwort, licorice, sage, I believe is the lineup. And it's such an incredible combination. There's synergy in that. It does wonders. But again, Vitex
it depends on the
everybody.
person. Yeah.
Licorice isn't. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, for hormone balance, I think black cohosh and Vitex tend to be really common in my practice. Also, a lot of liver support and a lot of nutrition and a lot of lifestyle, because stress is such a big, a big factor. Yeah. And then nutrition is huge. So.
Yeah, same here. Chinese medicine, we really focus a lot on the liver, but again, it depends on the person. But the liver can cause all kinds of issues. We don't go to the symptoms, but we do see that people who have liver imbalances tend to have estrogen dominance, and so they benefit from that increased progesterone and Vitex, or liver pills even.
Yeah. I think that's such a surprising one. And it's such an easy way to make a big impact for people, is to focus on your liver. If you feel like hormone imbalance is an issue, just improve that detoxification pathway in that organ. And it can make a big difference for sure. I mean, it's funny. It's like, even for that exact same reason, even fiber helps balance hormones.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because it helps it clean out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's just another detox pathway. And another thing that I find really important, because I work with a lot of people that do IVF as well, is everybody's focused so much on the actual, like getting the hormones, getting the retrieval, and then they're done. But I'm always like, you really need to spend a little time afterwards to cleanse, to support the liver, support the gut, support the colon, like really get all of that, which was just infused, all the hormones that were just given to you at such high levels, to really cleanse it out. It's really important for the body. And it's not like something bad's going to happen either. I try not to alarm anybody, but it is just important to realize that and support the body in its detoxification.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I definitely have worked with people on that process specifically. It's, usually they're like, I can't wait
to get it out,
to get back to this sort of equilibrium. Like, I feel so hormonal.
It's interesting. Everybody has different symptoms. Some people have headaches, some people get lethargic, some people get bloated. Most people get bloated.
Yeah, definitely.
And so how does the website work? How does it, Pharmakon Supernatural? So you have different courses that you do, and then you also have different products that correspond to what is being taught?
Yeah. So the goal is that somebody who's interested in this world can just come. And one thing that is great for anybody who's new to the space is we have hundreds of free articles on the site at this point: podcast recordings, articles, videos, recipes, all these things that just, that was one of the first things that I did when I started in this world was write about it and publish, and it's all there and it's all for free. So people can just explore that if they want. But for a focused, deeper dive into one of these topics, let's say hormone balance, you would sign up for the course, and it's on demand. So then you have access to a page where all of the videos live. There are handouts, references, there are, special products and things all related to hormone balance. So you get a very thorough immersion in this one topic. And I think we have about a dozen classes right now that are all focused on topics. And then there's the 4-week course, which, for example, is the protocol that I do with people after IVF often, to do, a 4-week, basically, let's rebalance nutrition. Let's talk about herbs and stress and lifestyle and all of the, kind of pillars of just being well. So they're all pre-recorded on demand. And then periodically I do live events. I used to do a ton. I don't do a lot right now, just kind of taking a break. But sometimes those pop up. And my intention also with the classes is that, working with me one-on-one, which a lot of people want to do, and which I do love doing, but, time is limited, right? So I can't work with everyone. So these classes, again, were developed so that people can basically spend, I think there's 75, 90 minutes, maybe some are even longer than that, with me, giving you a lot more information than you would get, in one session. So that's the other purpose that they're there serving. Yeah.
Awesome. So these are for people who want to learn more about their own bodies or how to balance out their bodies with nutrition, supplements, herbals, etc.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, they're not teaching you how to be an herbalist.
Right.
Yeah, they're for anybody who wants plant-based support with this certain topic. Absolutely. And then the shop, which I didn't answer your question about that. So the shop is full of products. Some of them are ours, and then others are just products from people in the space who are making great products. I often asked what I recommend, and we have had an apothecary shop for many years in Brooklyn, and it used to be in Manhattan before that. And so this is these are our shelves, our virtual shelves of things that I recommend. And they're, like I said earlier, there's so many products in the space. So finding good ones makes a huge difference. I know you know that too, with all the hormone balancing and fertility offers on the market. So
Yeah,
it's a place where I try to curate things that I think are really good.
Awesome. Well, so how can people find you if they are interested in taking the courses?
Yeah. It's all on the website.
And the products.
Yeah. So the letter U, the letter R, supernatural.com. So supernatural.com. It's all there. I would say the newsletter is a good thing to sign up for. That's a place where I send out a lot of insights and kind of things that I'm exploring currently that never really make it to the website. It's sort of like an insider circle. It's a really fun place. It's not your sort of typical newsletter. It's a good thing to sign up for too, if you're like, oh, I just want to be in the loop and be reminded of this stuff and, know when new things launch. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rachelle. I also have all the information on the website and everything in the episode notes if anybody wants to go find it there. So thank you so much, Rachelle. This was a great conversation. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So that concludes today's episode. You can find all of the links mentioned on the episode notes. If you're enjoying these episodes, please take a moment to share and leave a review. Reviews mean everything to podcasters, and I really enjoy hearing from my listeners. You can also find me on my website at www.thewholesomelotus.com or email me at info@thewholesomelotus.com. I love hearing from my listeners. If you're interested and want updates as well as a free ebook on my top 10 fertility boosting habits, you can visit my fertility page on www.thewholesomelotus.com. I thank you so much for listening in and hope that you have a beautiful day.